Overhated and underrated. This overhated Western flop is the biggest sleeper masterpiece of all time. Most people who love film always have that one genre that they truly are passionate about. For me, that is Westerns. From the early Westerns like Stagecoach to more modern Westerns like Killers of the Flower Moon and Hell or High Water, each one offers something special to one of cinema's most iconic genres. My affection for Westerns had me excited for Kevin Costner's massive epic and explains why I believe that Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 is one of the most overhated Westerns. Coming off of Yellowstone, Costner directed and helped write the first part of what was supposed to be a four-part American West epic. Chapter 1 was only the opening foray into this humongous undertaking, and yet it was met with stunned silence at the box office. The film was ridiculed for many aspects, such as Costner's character, Hayes' relationship with a much younger woman, but the movie deserves so much better. Horizon certainly lacks finesse in its opening chapter, but it embodies the Western genre better than almost any other modern film. The Good and the Ugly of Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1. As with many of the overhated and underrated pieces, I'm not at all saying that Horizon is a perfect project. It has many flaws in how Chapter 1 is laid out and presented to the audience. Yet, the expectation of perfection in art often ends up destroying people's enjoyment of it. Perfection should be pursued, but Horizon finds beauty and pure entertainment in the midst of imperfection. The biggest issue facing Horizon is the cohesion of the story. Chapter 1 clearly was setting up a massive epic, one that would span every facet of the time period and the American West. That is no small undertaking, and one that I was eager to see play out. In presenting that to the viewer, though, Costner gave us almost too many plot lines and characters to follow. The settlers of Horizon, Pine-Sene, and his hatred of the settlers, and Hayes and the Sykes family are only a couple of the ongoing storylines. Bringing even those three storylines together in a cohesive fashion would have been tricky enough already, but there are still more storylines that are swirling around in this 3-hour-long Western. The pacing of how much each storyline is given on screen also hurts the film. Some stories are given huge amounts of time, which makes it far harder for other characters to connect with the audience. Cohesion and pacing are the biggest problems that stand out when watching Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1. Despite the ugly of Horizon, there are so many great things to love about this chapter of Costner's magnum opus. Above everything else, Horizon is clearly a passion project, with Costner even putting in $38 million of his own money to fund it. That passion shines through every moment of the movie. Westerns are one of the film industry's most storied genres, and I found it breathtaking to see it handled on the big screen with such care in the modern era. One of the most beautiful moments in the film is also the most horrifying. The destruction of the early settlement of Horizon is hauntingly beautiful. The townspeople go from being in a moment of jubilation at the dance to being part of a waking nightmare. Fire dances across the screen, creating devastating silhouettes of the death and destruction that is happening. The sequence is the ultimate Western moment, being built up to since John Wayne was on the screen. It felt authentic to the genre and worked wonderfully as an inciting action for many of the stories taking place on the frontier. It also helped to set up two other plot lines that are heavily influenced by two of John Wayne's best works. The U.S. cavalry has always been a big part of Western films, with John Ford's Cavalry trilogy being the biggest example. Horizon is no different, with the DNA of films like She Wore a Yellow Ribbon very clearly on display. It's in these moments that Horizon's dialogue shines. Danny Huston's Colonel Albert Houghton poetically explains what the West and Western films mean to people. He says that the West represents freedom, a chance to get out from under the vicious grind of life and find a chance at new opportunities. The sense of freedom and adventure is what continues to draw people to Westerns, and Huston's speech is beautiful, memorable, and wonderfully summarizes the history of Western cinema. There is also inspiration taken from The Searchers, although with a much more grim twist. Some of the people of Horizon go off to hunt down the First Nations people for burning their town, but it becomes gruesome fast. This takes the classic elements of The Searchers, but with the deconstructionist tone of Eastwood's era. It sees good people's values degrade and push their limits in the name of justice, only to find that there is no justice, only more pain. I have only pointed out a few key moments from this movie, but it should be clear to any reader that Horizon is the ultimate Western. It embodies, elevates, and embraces all the ideals of a classic film, while giving it a more modern perspective. Horizon, an American Saga, comes at a sad time for Western movies. More than anything, timing worked heavily against Horizon. Costner likely believed that coming off of Yellowstone and its success would help propel people to the cinema to see Horizon, but that just wasn't the case. Despite having a reported budget of only $50 million, Horizon only managed to make $38 million worldwide at the box office. The state of movie theaters right now is rough. It takes a lot to get people out to the movies. I love the entire theater experience. Nothing can replace it for me, but many people don't share my passion for that experience. This apathy for theaters has led to a step decline in viewers going to see movies while in cinemas. Horizon also had to contend with the lackluster desire for big-screen westerns. While neo-westerns have thrived in modern times, more traditional-styled movies like 2016's The Magnificent Seven continue to fail to find audiences. This makes it even harder for a movie to earn back its budget, especially when it needs to justify 3 more movies. The entire Horizon saga deserves to be seen. After the disaster of Chapter 1, Chapter 2 was pulled from the release calendar. It was originally supposed to be released a couple of months after Chapter 1, but at the time of writing this, it still has no release date. I have spoken to countless friends, lamenting this fact. I truly believe that Horizon would find new success and appreciation if it were allowed to run its course. Chapter 1 was building to big events, all-out battles, and a touching fight for survival from everyone involved. Chapter 2 is a completed film. It's ready to release. Not just because I love Horizon, but also because the entire cast and crew deserve to see their hard work put out to the viewers. I want to see where the story is going and what will happen with the characters, which is a sign that Chapter 1 was successful at connecting with at least me as a viewer. Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 may not be a masterpiece in terms of movies in general, but it is a masterpiece of the Western genre. I think this movie honors and elevates everything that has made Westerns popular for so many decades. I understand that not everyone is a fan of Westerns, but people need to support a passion project, and Kevin Costner poured everything he had into a movie that he hoped would cement his legacy.